Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for calling this very important hearing, and I want to thank, of course, the presenters doing an outstanding job. Thank you for your public service, and also we have a better appreciation of your staffs, what they do around the world, and to make the world a better place, the risks that they take. So please thank them for me. The crisis in Egypt has hit home with me because my former communications director, John Tomaszewski, is over there. He's one of the 16 Americans. I'm outraged and have spoken to the ambassador about this at least a couple of times, expressing my alarm. So I do have a couple questions. Please tell me what you think we can do to not only protect these staffers, but enhance the ability of the MGOs to operate freely and safely. What can we do to ensure that their activities will not be constrained by the current or transitional government? For the entire panel.
Again, I've said a couple times, if the Egyptians are able to do this without consequence, clearly that's going to be bad for my staff, including JT, and it's not going to be good for my programming. I'm not going to talk about cutting off military aid and all that, but I do, again, I do think the Chairman's idea of redirecting assistance, should we continue it. And secondly, I would add auditing what has already gone through would be viewed in Egypt as a price they're paying.
Please.
Congressman, I mentioned earlier, we need to have these investigations closed down. We need to have the charges dropped, even though they haven't been formally leveled against us. We need to be allowed to register without any strings attached. And we need to be able to engage with Egyptians who want to engage with us. That's why we're there, because there is local interest and demand for the kind of support, training, and advice that we provide, so that none of them worries that they might wind up in jail because they're associated with us.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I've spoken out again about the plight of the Coptic Christians and the heightened persecution that they have been facing. Can you say specifically if your groups were working to help the plight of the Coptics? If so, you believe you were targeted because of your assistance?
We were not involved in those programs, but there is an interesting anecdote about this. One of the pieces of evidence that has been released is that, and this does not have to do with any of these groups, that photographs were taken of churches and mosques. And so this was evidence that somebody was trying to divide the country between Muslims and Christians. In fact, the pictures that they referred to were pictures of from another organization who used them in their religious tolerance programs in the country, showing that there is a long history in Egypt of religious tolerance, and they show slides of churches and mosques that are located nearby. That was the purpose of those pictures. And yet, in the release of the evidence, they tried to portray them in some nefarious manner. Also, maps have been released claiming that we have divided the country in different parts, when in fact those maps were the electoral maps showing the 3 stages of the Egyptian process. And these were not maps that were produced by our organizations. These were maps that were produced by the High Election Commission.
Anyone else? Please.
I don't think we were targeted because of any work we do with the Coptic community. But certainly civil society can play a critical role in trying to facilitate dialogue between the Muslim community and the Coptic community. And whether our organizations do that directly or not, civil society in Egypt, there are a number of organizations who are focused on trying to promote better understanding and better dialogue so that we don't see the kind of outbreak of violence that we saw last fall.
Thank you.
I don't think, like David, that we were targeted because of the work we do, because of work we would have done with cops, but I do think we're getting blamed in part for religious strife in Egypt, ironically.
Yes, please.
Similarly, I don't think that's an issue that we deal with. We're a journalism training group. I can't say that we have a wide variety of participants who are in our programs, but this is we have nothing to do with that issue in particular.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bilirakis. Mr.